Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's get started.
Straight from New York, yo, this handsome man,
You
yo.
are now tuned in to Aljo, the funk master. Watch your grill, yoga knocked out cold fast. And talking shit, now we talking facts. Whether mount or off the back, you in trouble, came to burst your bubble. I don't shelter punches, they find home on your mind about a double. This the weekly scraps. You don't need a map, GPS, I'm right here to lead it that. The world doesn't know it needs, but I grow the seeds, planning fuck a name and the fame. Only legacy remains. Remember the name, Aljamain Sterling.
It ain't shit,
Motherfuckers.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Weekly Scraps, episode 168. I am joined by Jake Fine in studio today.
What up, bro?
Coming all the way from Chi-Town.
Chicago, yeah.
Yes. So we're here. We're going to discuss some things, a couple of things that we got in the works for you guys, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting for the fans and a lot of cool stuff, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Did you want to talk about,
Fuck
give a little bit of a...
Can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay, bet. Yeah, so I came up where I'm working on a documentary with your training partner, your teammate, Manimal, John Beneducci, and I kind of used that to get in. I DM'd you, start working with you. Now we're doing the documentary for your camp leading up to this rematch with Petr Yan.
Yeah.
Which I think for just MMA fans, like, this is one of the most controversial, like, the way you won is one of the most controversial things in MMA a year later.
Yeah.
It's historical.
Still
like,
crazy,
I'm pretty
right?
sure you're the only person who won by DQ.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own opinion about it. The media had their own little spin on it. So I want to just cover all that shit and make a crazy, I want to make the best, like, I want to document the most crazy rematch in history of UFC.
I think this is going to be cool for people to get like a little behind the scenes look and kind of seeing like what goes into everything leading up to the fight. I mean, I'm sure there's been other people who've done things like this, but I think it's a little bit different just based on the circumstances going into this fight in particular.
Facts, yeah.
So it is what it is. At the end of the day, I can't change history, and as they say, there's rules for a reason, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, let's just get into a straight old-fashioned street fight, and then anything goes.
My thing to the people who like hate on you is like, why, like, Petr Yan ruined it for himself. Like, he's the one who did the illegal move, not you. I don't get how you became the villain.
It's weird because if you put yourself in his shoes, you're winning the fight. You're pulling away.
Yeah.
You're starting to dominate at this point in the fourth round. You could maybe get a finish, even though I don't think I was going anywhere. But you could potentially get a finish. This is the thoughts that I'm thinking should be going through his head.
Right.
Why the hell would you decide to throw something like that when you could just let the guy up, which you've done, I think, 2 other times during that same fight? And to me, it just goes to show, like, the guy did that maliciously, looking to intentionally try to hurt me even more, to kind of put a stamp on things, to kind of, like, just get away with one. Because it's just like, why else would you do that?
So do you think he thought he was going to do that and then
get away with it, slap on the wrist?
Like, he was going to get the knockout, basically, from doing that to you?
I don't think so. I maybe, but I think he was just trying to really hurt me as much as he could.
Jesus. Okay, because I feel like you got to give him the benefit of the doubt in some capacity, because it's like,
you're the champ of the world.
Right. You're the champ, and well, hold on. You're the champ, but the ref, people say, oh, the ref told you no. But he doesn't speak English, so that was always my thing. Like, did he not get it? But you think he just knew?
They explained the rules in the back. He's had about 20-plus fights, pro and amateur. He's boxed before, even though there's no knees in boxing. He knew the rules. They tell us the rules before we go out there. They ask us if we have any questions. You fought with these same rules your entire UFC career.
Yeah.
He's tried to do stuff like this before in other organizations. And to me, I just think it was just a scummy move that he thought he was going to get a slap on the wrist for and just get away with it and just kind of get a cheap shot in there and try to just add to the extra punishment. That's the way I think of it.
Interesting.
I'm like, why else would you do that?
Unless it's either that or he had no idea.
But how could he have no idea?
But what are the odds he had no idea?
We were in that position 3 times.
Right.
The third time he decides to say, fuck it, I'm throwing a knee no matter what. So to me, it's just like, you take 6 seconds to process where I'm at, realizing I'm not getting up because you're stuffing my head, and then all of a sudden you decide to wait 6 seconds later after the ref says he's down. So the ref tell you he's down. You want to pretend you don't speak English? Okay, great. But in the back room and all these other things, you speak English all of a sudden. You knew what you were doing. You don't take that long. Otherwise, he would have threw it right away.
What were the ref's exact words to him? Did you hear them?
Going back watching it, he's down, Peter.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to misunderstand.
His coaches told him, one told him the knee, one told him the punch. Because I think he said something too. But at the end of the day, we were in that position before. So you just can't mix that up. It's just if you knew what happened before, because the last time he hit me with the knee on the way up. So for you to wait that long and then just throw the knee anyway, I think it only shows one thing. Like, maybe I'll just, say I don't speak English and you try to get away with it.
So he thought he was just going to get a slap, like a warning.
Yeah. 100%.
Imagine getting a warning for that shit.
That would have been crazy. That's what Big John McCarthy said pretty much. He said he doesn't think he intentionally meant to do it. Bro, 6 seconds? You thought about it, that means. 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's like if I have you right here, like by the collar,
and
I'm
just
this
like
for 6 seconds.
You know what? Fuck it. Just hit that guy.
But I just don't understand how they spun that. Like I've watched that fight 4 or 5 times.
It's crazy.
You've probably watched it a bunch of times too, I assume. I don't understand how people made you the villain. Like I mean, I get how the media spun it because you had that picture that came out, and then you kind of ran with it. But I'm just like, you're all mad at Aljo for what? For getting kneed in the head illegally? There's a clear rule.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even get the media's angle on it, saying like, I don't even remember like who first spun it. I think my friends posted a video, and then somehow I guess Yan was watching my stories and then saw my friends' stories. 'Cause I didn't post it; they were posting it, and then I guess he went right back to Twitter after apologizing for unintentionally trying to knee me, and then takes it back and goes like, "Oh, he was faking," blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, you know how hard you hit me. So
there's
for you to pretend that I was faking, knowing how hard you hit me, that's a joke. That in itself is the joke right there. It's like, dude, so you're trying to tell me you threw a soft knee? There's no way. I felt it. You know what you threw. You threw a knee to try to end the fight because you thought I was in a situation. At least this is what I'm. If you thought this was an illegal knee, you threw a fight-ending knee to try to get me out of there. So, was it an accident or not? Because I'm just confused. Like, did you try to love tap me and just like, it wasn't that hard. He was faking. Or did you didn't know and you threw it a hard intentional knee. So when I break it down like this for people, they're like, wow, I never thought of it like that. I'm just like, dude, the guy's a moron. At the end of the day, he had a layup and he just he tumbled himself. He blocked himself. You know what I mean? Just straight up just fumbled the bag.
You're sitting here saying like he was winning the fight. He was going to win the fight at that
given point. I don't think there's any way I'm winning that fight other than pulling off a Misha Tate, Holly Holm, Hail Mary in the 5th round, and he slips on a banana peel, and I get on his back and manage to choke him out. That's the only way.
So I
had no pop in my punches from pretty much the 2nd round going on. And, I landed the 2 head kicks right before I shot in that last time. But other than that, it was just everything was like forced because I was just so exhausted going into the fight. So I didn't have much. So if I was so compromised, he should have just ran through me like a buzzsaw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if none of my punches hurt or anything, he should have just ran through the buzzsaw because if I'm throwing a soft punch, he could just eat it, counter, and sit me down, what he's known to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's weird how people look at things and they break it down and they try to make it say it's
yeah. Have you seen the breakdown videos of like why Aljo's an actor?
I've seen like I think 1 or 2, but
it's like
it's comical because it's like, man, these guys are all professionals and they know what it's like to be in there. Yes, but
it's like, have you ever gotten kicked in the head or something?
Yeah, so I don't really put stock in it at all because at the end of the day, I know what's up. He knows what's up, and at the end of the day, if he could have gotten me out of there, he would have. And he decided to do what he did, and that's a loss on his payday. And for me, now I'm just happy we both get pay-per-view points for this one because I think he deserves it. I think anyone who fights for the belt should get pay-per-view points outside of myself and Petr.
Like, because he gets it because he has the interim belt.
Because he has the interim.
Right. So the interims get pay-per-view points.
Yes.
That's pretty fire.
Which they get treated as a champion, which is nice because other than that, he wouldn't be getting anything. He would just get his base pay.
Do you think even if it's not a championship fight, do you think every headlining fight should get pay-per-view points because they're promoting?
headliners don't typically headline pay-per-view events unless it's for a title.
If let's say, but like Kobe and Jorge.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, Jorge got pay-per-view points. Kobe didn't.
Okay.
So, very rare circumstance. There's usually, unless you're like a Conor McGregor, Jorge, maybe a Ronda Rousey, if she ever decided to come back, maybe she could finagle that in there. Even though, coming off of 2 losses, it'd be pretty hard for them.
I don't think she's coming back.
No, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, just because of her star power.
Yeah.
Outside of that, you don't see anybody else getting that type of love. Maybe Sean O'Malley can get there if he can get a big top 10, top 15 type of win. I think he could be one of those guys, arguably, because he's very popular. I don't know how much he would sell, but they put him on a pay-per-view card for a reason. There's interest there.
Every UFC card now is doing like 700K pay-per-views.
I don't know about that.
I've been paying like attention recently.
But where are you finding these numbers?
Good question.
Like
there's like lists and stuff online.
Yeah, but I think it just comes down to where they're getting the numbers from. Because if it's a reputable source, then yes. But if not, then it's like it's hard to put stock into that. And I'm saying those are good numbers. I'll take that all day long.
That's a great, to me, if you're doing that once a month, you're killing it.
For the UFC, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they made like 890 or 800 and
I'm pretty sure
859 for like the first half of the year last year, which is insane.
859,000
million.
Oh, 859 million or
Million.
8.59 million.
859 million. This is what I was told.
Wait.
I would have to find the article.
Pay-per-views for the first half of the year?
No, not pay-per-views. Just like revenue
Oh.
in total from like everything.
Oh, I thought you meant like pay-per-view sales. I was like,
No,
that's like
no.
80 million pay-per-views per month.
I would have to be fact-checked on that, but there was an article that showed like how much they click because it's a private company, public company now, so they have to kind of disclose what they're.
I feel like
in.
they never should have gone public.
I agree.
If you're Dana and you want to keep, if you're gonna fight for lower fighter pay, like from Dana's perspective,
I don't know if he's fighting.
Not, you know what I mean though.
But
like
I don't think he's in a rush to pay us more.
He
than what he's
defends
doing.
how he pays fighters.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like, if Jake Paul's fighting for higher pay, Dana is defending what's happening right now.
Yeah, agreed.
So if you're Dana, I'm thinking, dude, if you're a public company, that means literally part of the value of your company is based on public perception. Like part of Apple's whatever $2 trillion net like worth is like 300 million of that is public view of the company.
Yeah.
So
but does public perception alter the numbers unless they're like pulling out of the stock?
Well, think about it. People don't want to, if there's some bad thing out about the UFC, which there is right now.
Yeah.
The company looks worse in light of the public. So there's just naturally the value of the company is going to be lower.
But what changes? They're still doing the same numbers. So it's like
maybe people are it's like the momentum starts to shift away from the UFC. It looks positively on other things. I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah, but what changes?
Think about how many millions of people. If a small percentage of people start not watching the UFC because of the stuff Jake Paul's saying, that's 50,000 less pay-per-view eyes. That's real revenue.
But you think that's happening?
It could.
It could.
Think about the woke society we live in right now, where
people don't
not in the UFC. That's the only.
Yeah, it's wild, but people don't give a shit.
I'm just saying it could. That could fuck them over if they're a publicly traded company. That type of stuff starts to matter.
If people were
especially
really
if you're
about
not,
it, like
if
supporting
the owners, right? The big shareholders of that stock, they're gonna put pressure on Dana when they start feeling it in their pockets.
Oh, of course.
That's
but
what I'm saying.
It starts with the fans. The fans, and obviously the fans will probably say it starts with the fighters. You guys shouldn't be signing these contracts. It's the dumbest thing you could ever say. Like, our goal is to get to the UFC.
And there's nothing else.
Because it's the highest of the highest with the biggest marketing potential to make you a star outside of just fighting.
Yeah.
So when you have that perception is everything. Because it doesn't matter if you go to Bellator. It doesn't matter if you go to Ryzen and you go to Champ. People know 3 letters, UFC.
And if you could go to Bellator and maybe get paid a little more per fight, but you're not getting nearly the eyeballs.
And I don't even know about that.
Some people
You
get
gotta be a
paid pretty
Michael
well.
Chandler. and Eddie Alvarez. Those guys got paid like that. I don't know if they're paying anybody else like that. Maybe AJ McKee.
They have the tournaments and stuff. Yeah, like AJ McKee.
Yeah, but I don't think they're paying those guys anymore like the 300, 400K like they were before. And only a handful of guys were getting that. And then, I mean, obviously you got Gegard Mousasi now. He's getting paid a lot better than what he was at the UFC. You know, he did that one presser saying like, what do I need to have? Blonde hair, talk with a funny accent, and he was like, fuck this. But he kept it real. And again, I get paid well, but I put my dues in, man. I put a lot of time in. But again, for people to say the fighters need to be the ones to start it, it's just like, well, if I try to say no when I'm trying to get to the UFC, there is over 100,000 other people that they can go to and be like, do you want to come fight for us? And they'll say yes in a heartbeat because it's life-changing money, or not even life-changing money for your first fight, but the opportunity.
Right, because weren't you a teacher?
Yeah.
So I heard this. You were a teacher, and
I couldn't get a fight. And it took forever for them to get me a matchup. I don't know if it's because they just didn't like my style because they knew I was just going to hug everybody to death and then choke them.
Yeah. Like 12. Yeah. I don't. People are always like, oh yeah, like 12. Like to play devil's advocate, people are like, oh, 12-12 is pathetic. That's like the starting pay.
Well, I got 8-8 for my debut.
Okay.
I think now it's at 10-10.
I heard it's 12-12 for debut.
Well, unless it's new, unless they bumped it up again, which is good. But 12-12, I think minimum, because obviously not everyone who comes in, and this is where I side with the UFC, is like, well, not everyone that comes in is going to draw value or attention to drive the numbers up. They're like curtain jerkers. And we get that. At least I get that from a promotional standpoint. Just because you get to the UFC doesn't mean you should be guaranteed millions. The same way, like, just because you got to the NFL or the NBA, you shouldn't be guaranteed millions until you prove your worth or you become the starter, you become the star, the marquee player for the team, the face. Now it makes sense because you're bringing in some type of revenue for us that we can also have some type of relationship where we can share the revenue.
Yeah, like when you're getting 10-10, they're losing 10-10 on you.
They're probably more likely losing 10.
They're not making that 20 grand back on you specifically.
100%.
Somebody else is paying. They're taking that like money from you, basically, that you're bringing in.
And that's where I understand where the UFC is coming from with that regards. But I do think as a minimum to have fighters that can actually train somewhat the right way, or at least give themselves an opportunity to take a chance, to take a gamble. I'm not going to quit my job for 10-10. For me, 8-8.
But if I
couldn't quit my job for 8-8 because it just
I
had to pay my coaches.
Right.
I had to pay the traveling, the food expenses, just to get their equipment, and then outside of that, I pay my manager.
So you get the $16,000 check,
and
right?
then Uncle Sam.
So how much of that it comes back into your bank account when it's all said and done?
I mean, I would need my calculator to
do you remember, like, roughly?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And you don't have to answer if I'm pressing.
It's just to do the numbers. I would have to do the numbers to really break it down. Where's my calculator? My handy dandy calculator.
Yeah, our phones are filming this.
16,000.
Yeah. Times.
Let's say I pay my coaches 5% each, so 10%, and my manager. So let's say
10% to your manager.
Yeah, so let's say 0.8.
That's another 3,200. Yeah.
So I walk away with 12,800 after I pay my coaches and my manager. Then we're talking training expenses just to get to the fight, and the UFC only pays for your fighter and +1, and one hotel room. So I have to cover the other hotel rooms. Sometimes my coaches, all the time, my coaches don't sleep in the same room because they can't sleep in the same room with each other. That's another discussion. So I pay for one coach, and then I pay for another coach. And then on top of that, I pay for the flight or reimburse their flight after they pay for it or whatever. So then that's the expenses leading up to that. So let's just say that's another, let's just call that 1,500. So now we subtract the 1,500 from that. We're looking at 11,300. And let's say Uncle Sam, say I don't have an LLC yet because it doesn't really make a ton of sense because it's my first fight. I'm not making a ton of business unless I plan on fighting a couple times and I make a couple bonuses. But let's just say I did have the LLC and I could write off those expenses.
Sure.
I bring my percentage down. Let's say I'm only liable for, I'll just say for shits and giggles, 25%. So
times 0.75.
I'm left with 8,475.
So half.
And then I got to make my mortgage payments.
That's
my
gone
rent,
in 2 months.
My food.
That's gone in 2 months.
Especially living in New York.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Right.
So that's why I say, like, for some people that might go a lot further, but I do think some people who live in like a California or New York, it's probably going to be a lot more beneficial if the UFC came in with like a minimum standard, like across the board, where you come in 50-50, because if you win or you don't win, it's at least enough money for you to take a gamble for that year. If you say you got an injury,
bro, I was just talking to this
It's
guy,
crazy.
Mike Davis. He had a crazy fight. I
black Spanish dude.
he's black.
Okay,
Yeah.
with the good, he got good boxing. Really
He
good
might.
boxing.
I never saw him fight, but like a fan from TikTok
Yeah.
invited me to be on the podcast that he got with Mike Davis,
Okay.
and he got a bonus for $50K in his fight for like fight of the night,
Yeah.
and he's living off it like 2 years later. So that
In Florida.
$50K, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know he was I think he was down at top 10.
Yeah,
training
he's in.
with, like,
He looked like he was in Florida.
with Mike Perry and those guys. I think I saw clips of him doing that.
But that that's where I feel like Jake Paul has a point. Like that $50K makes a huge difference for like a starting wage from like
100%.
instead of 24,000 potentially.
Yeah.
Or 20,000.
Well, I still can't even confirm if it is 24,000. But if it is, I'll take that over 8 and 8, and I'll take that over 10 and 10. You know. But at the end of the day, to make a minimum salary to even get by in New York at base minimum, like to have, we're not even talking about the life of an athlete for like massages. I didn't add any of that in
All
there
your
because I couldn't
supplements
afford
and
to get
shit,
any of
yeah.
that. So all that stuff. It's just like $50K will go a long way. Not that far because you're injury away from just being broke. And I've had 2-year-long layoffs
And
from my wrist and from my neck.
can you get health insurance? Will anybody insure you?
I mean, I'm pretty sure other people have health insurance. I don't have health insurance. I haven't had health insurance since my fight with
Because it costs so much?
2016 with Brian Caraway.
'Cause
Because I
it
just couldn't afford it.
Okay. Damn.
And it's like if I were to get it, that money now goes down even more, and I really have nothing. You know what I mean? So it's just like, just don't get hit by a
but
car.
the UFC will pay if you get injured in the ring.
In the ring, and we
In the
get
octagon.
accidental insurance, which is cool. So it's like,
what's
but
that
it's
mean?
$1,500. Like, say in training camp, I stubbed my toe, and I needed surgery. Obviously, I'm kidding. Not stub my toe. You wouldn't need surgery for a stub toe, unless I don't know.
Don't you have a stub toe?
That's a serious stub toe. If you get like, say your foot gets detached, accidental injury, you pay your $1,500 deductible for the day, and you put that claim in, and they'll cover that. Anything in excess of that.
So
if I
you
need
pay
surgery-
$1,500, they'll pay the rest.
Yeah,
That's
which
fire.
that's reasonable.
That's pretty.
I could deal with that.
Yeah.
I could live with that.
That's not bad.
Still a
really.
pretty penny, but I'd rather that than nothing. You know.
It's cool that they have even that though. I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're moving in the right direction. I'm just hoping, like I said, I think the UFC has made enough. I think Dana has done a phenomenal job over the years of promoting and building the UFC.
Yeah.
So I get it, his stance on everything, and I do think he thinks if fighters make more money that we won't want to fight more. I want to fight more if I can make more money.
Yeah.
Because it's more of an incentive. Otherwise, it's like if I'm gonna fight these hard-nosed people for X amount, it's kind of like, well, why am I killing myself for that?
The first second your podcast goes viral and you can get really big sponsors, you'll do that instead. Like I feel like that's the incentive. If you're not getting paid enough to fight, when something else comes along, you'll resent the fighting, right?
I don't know if I love this so much. I just like competing, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying for
you're an
myself. I can
athlete,
speak
yeah.
for myself. It's like if you're gonna pay me more, I'm definitely gonna jump in there more because now I'm like, oh, I'm counting the dollar signs. Like, okay, I could go out there and I could compete with this guy. I could compete with this guy, and while I'm doing it, I can also do this. I could set this up, and I could set this up. So by the time I'm done, hopefully, knock on wood, everything goes well. I come out with X amount of money, or I play devil's advocate. If worst case scenario, this is what I walk away with, and I can set up my other stuff for retirement, life insurance, all that stuff, investment plans for kids and things like that, and other investments like my SEP IRAs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So all those other things get funded and taken care of because I don't know about other people. Maybe they just want the extra money to go just blow and live a good life, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think being a UFC athlete at the highest level of any organization or sport, I should say, you want to be able to have that lifestyle if you want it because you earned it.
And your lifestyle is so, I feel like, hard, right?
Yeah, but it's like if you work hard, why shouldn't you be able to play hard? You know what I mean? like for me, I understand the sport and I understand that the money that we make isn't substantial enough to the point where I can, like, if I stop fighting today, that I could just be retired for the rest of my life and kick my feet up. I know I can't do that. But thankfully, I bought my 3 houses. I took my money.
Where's the third one?
I have 2 houses in New York and one in Vegas.
Damn.
So I just understand the value of money a lot differently from other people.
You're very, like, smart.
Yeah, because I've seen it before. I've seen other people here one moment, the next moment they're spending money like they're going to be on top of the mountain forever. And we've seen how many people fall from grace so quickly. And it seems like, yo, it was just yesterday they were the man or the woman, you know? So I just take that into consideration. Like, have fun, but don't be a complete moron where you're like, I need to fight for this paycheck. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. Like right now, I'm comfortable, but I definitely need to fight because it's been 2 years that I've only been able to compete one time.
Yeah.
That's not good. You know what I mean? And like I said, living in New York, having 3 mortgages, even though I rent a lot of them out.
Right.
It's still a lot of expenses coming out that I got to make sure it gets covered. So at least I'm doing the right thing.
That
I'm
is
still
fire
building
though
equity.
that you have these like money makers.
Yeah,
that
little
you've
nest
invested
eggs.
in.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And
That's what as soon as I always think because like I'm a filmmaker, there's not much certainty there.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. Like I want to make these UFC films and stuff. Like as soon as I get any money like that, I'm gonna buy like a house and then Airbnb that shit. Like
which would be smart. As long as you're in the right area, you can do it, and it works out, man. There's money to be made out there, and again, like fighting at the highest level. Like I said, I think Dana did a phenomenal job. We're moving in a positive direction for like how many consecutive years now. So I think it's about time the shift of the revenue starts to benefit the fighters coming up so that we can at least give them a better product. Because if we can train more and give our all more to the sport, like I worked a part-time / full-time job working teacher hours straight through the day, trying to train in between periods. So if I had a double period, I would go get my strength and conditioning lift in the school gym,
that's
shower
wild.
up, and then have to hustle to get ready for the next period class. And I would have to be up in the morning like 6 something to be on time for first period that started at 7:25 a.m. So my days were crazy. Like the hustle to get here. Like there's nothing I can ever take. Like I can never take that for granted because it's been such a blessing to have to go through that grind to make you appreciate being here just so much more. So now I'm here. I'm like, dude, I don't want to go back to doing that again. I know how hard it was. And I got to make sure I do my damn best to win these next couple of fights so that I can stick around even longer.
Facts.
You know,
facts. So. Love to hear it. You're dope, man. You got like.
Thank you. I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Got it cool. You guys are gonna see all this in the film too.
Yeah,
it's gonna be legendary.
Did you watch the fight? You said you watched some of the fights this past
weekend? I watched Molly McCann, Paddy Pimblett, Arnold Allen, and Tom Aspinall. Those fights.
Okay.
So 4 out of the 5.
The Aspinall fight for me, man, that one was, oh man, that guy went through Volkov like a buzzsaw.
Bro,
that was just like insanity.
I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize how dope he was. Like
I knew he was good.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, this guy is good.
What hold does he have actually? I feel like the only thing he could do to improve is like get leaner.
I mean, I don't even think he needs to get any leaner, to be honest. I mean, I don't think he wants to go like the Stipe route and be too light for the weight class. Because then he's got to deal with the Cyril Gane. He's got to deal with the Ngannou, who's a big guy who cuts down to make the weight limit.
True.
You know, and I think he moves well for that weight class where, you know, Ngannou's my guy. But I think his style right now would give Ngannou some problems. But I think, obviously, Ngannou connects one time, that fight's over, you know.
The great equalizer.
The great equalizer. And you seen it when Volkov tagged him, I think, one time. Like, just barely got through. But you're talking the difference between Volkov power and Ngannou power or Derek Lewis power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's so slick, so crisp on the feet. The way he moves, his timing on those takedowns, slip that right hand after throwing, I think, like a teep, then backing up and slipping under and then taking him down. It's like, bro, that's textbook. They looked like they were drilling. That's how effortless it looked.
Yeah,
Smooth.
dude. Apparently he's been doing like jiu-jitsu for like his whole entire life.
Which I didn't even see.
His
much
dad
of
was
that,
like
man.
his coach. Like,
yeah, I think he was.
He
saying
moves
something
well
like that,
on
right?
his feet, and then he can stand up too. Like,
he didn't lose in the UFC. He lost before that. He lost illegal elbow, 12-6. Oh, I guess he threw the elbow, and heel hook. So he's got to watch out for Cyril Gane.
so he's basically one loss in his career.
Yeah. The guy's a stud, man.
But I feel like I'm almost betting on Tom Aspinall against Cyril Gane.
Yeah? Why?
Well, just knowing how good his jiu-jitsu is, I'm like,
But you got to get the fight to the ground.
yeah, but he can stand up too. So I almost feel like he has more ways to get it done. Or he's just a little more all around. And like I tend to just bet on guys who have the better ground game.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's
Because they could take it there.
Because if like Cyril Gane we saw doesn't have much down there.
Well, he also finished the guy in the UFC with the heel hook.
Who did?
Cyril Gane.
I haven't
See
seen
what I'm
that
saying?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's not bad on the ground. It's just I think he was just in a position where he had a beast of a man on top of him.
That's true.
And it was just really hard to get him off at that part when it was so late into the fight. I think it was just tough.
Yeah.
That's what makes it very interesting.
Yeah.
But I think
That's a good point.
I think the kickboxing pedigree of Cyril Gane will give him issues because he can stay long and fight from the outside and poke at him and just make it a point fighting fight where Aspinall, he wants to get in there, land those quick hands, and then get out or take you down.
Right, and I'm saying, but if all he has to do is take it down, he needs a couple chances. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like
I take Cyril Gane in that all day.
You would?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like if he takes him down, he's probably gonna be way better on the ground than Cyril Gane. Like that's
if he takes him down. Yeah.
Right, and I don't think Cyril Gane's gonna knock him out. He could point fight him though.
He could
like
point
definitely,
fight him.
yeah.
I mean, he's got some TKOs if he lands that kill shot. So I don't know. I think it'd be a good fight though, and that's
That would be
it's a
dope.
good conversation because it's like the heavyweight division is finally like
It's fire,
interesting.
dude. Yeah, dude.
Because there's younger guys now and guys that can move. Like, oh man, this guy, he's got something. It's not these older guys who are 38, 40 years
right,
old.
and they're entertaining. Like
Yeah.
Ty.
Fun.
They're saying he should fight Ty.
He called out Tuivasa. He's
I like
the
that
only guy
fight.
that drinks beer in Australia. We drink beer in England too. So that would be a fun fight.
Who do you think would win that one? I'm picking Tom.
I think Tom is the much faster guy with the hands, but Bam Bam can crack. He's a big dude too. I think he cuts down to the weight also. The difference would be the grappling, but then he did a great job with Derek Lewis putting him against the cage and then wearing him out, and then eventually, what did he catch him against the cage? Ran him into the cage, hit that elbow that he hit
that's
before.
why it's so impressive to me.
Yeah,
You knocked out Derek Lewis with your elbow,
which was like wild.
and you took his punches too multiple times.
Yeah, he got hurt in that one, tied him up. So that's why like Bam Bam's gotten a lot better. He lost to Sergey Spivak, got out grappled, and look at him, he grew. So I think that would be a fun fight to make too.
Wasn't he on like a?
But you kill a contender.
That's why I'm like I don't think they should do that fight.
Yeah.
For Ty's sake. Because if
Well,
he
for
loses,
both
then
this, I don't know who wins that.
well, because to me,
It sounds like you're betting on Aspinall.
Well, the way I bet on Aspinall in that fight too, but like to me, I'm thinking Ty is like the Paddy Pimblett of that division right now. Like he's the guy who they're like building. He's the superstar if he keeps winning.
Yeah,
so
I agree. I can agree.
Paddy Pimblett's farther behind, obviously, but
Yeah. And then who is it? Arnold Allen. I thought he looked really good against Dan Hooker, but then you have to wonder like where Dan Hooker's at in his career, his chin, his ability. I mean, obviously, people say like if you get hit hard and you don't get knocked out, you got a chin. I think that's the dumbest way to put it. I think if you get hit hard and you're still right there, you're not like wobbled or rocked or on skates, you got a freaking chin. But if you get cracked and then you're stumbling all over the cage, just because you took the shot doesn't mean you got a great chin.
Yeah.
Because your lights didn't go out. I think it's a little bit different of a chin, in my opinion. Like I think Dan getting cracked, taking the shot, but being stumbled all over the cage and kind of being wobbled and hurt multiple times. I think it kind of shows like his ability to take damage has definitely waned a bit, and a lot.
yeah.
And you saw it after the fight with Dustin Poirier. I think we were talking about that earlier. I think it changed him, and
Like those wars, they
take it out of you.
Yeah. I mean, you can just a lot of fighters you see, there's like one fight like that where they just get the crap kicked out of them, and then it's like downhill from there.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's the confidence. But then I even look at a guy like Marlon Moraes. He got cracked, and then you could just tell they just look like they're stunned so bad where it's just like, yo, my body just doesn't want to do what it should do, what I know it can do or used to do. And I think Hooker, maybe him sparring with Israel Adesanya for all those years, maybe it didn't really help. Maybe it helped, but maybe it didn't help his durability and longevity in this sport.
It could, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he was probably on the brunt of that, taking some heavy shots from a guy like Izzy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Izzy's the biggest power puncher, but
if you're 180,
185, cutting
but
down.
he's probably
big boy.
195 walking around.
Yeah.
And then Dan's probably walking around at like 170.
Because he wasn't a big 55er, but he had the length.
Dan's big though.
He's tall.
He's long. He has a lot of muscle. Like, and he was already super lean at 155. I almost think one of the reasons his chin might have been so bad in that fight is because he cut too much weight. Maybe if you're already
Chandler sent him to the gulags too, though.
Yeah, I had a buddy who.
I mean, I've been sent to the gulags too, but
I mean,
but that that was
you're a fighter
driving right into a knee. I know that's like a car crash, but this was like Michael Chandler cut him off and just touched him, and he went out.
Yeah.
Even the Nasraf fight, Nasraf, he won, but it wasn't like he didn't look like super dominant in that fight.
Then that was an unranked guy, I'm pretty sure.
So I do think he could still compete. I just think him fighting these guys at the highest level right now, and giving Arnold Allen the highest marquee win to date and finally getting a finish is what he needed to send himself into that upper echelon.
Yeah.
And now it makes him a real potential title contender, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Hooker is just, I don't know. I'm not saying he can't take a shot, but I'm saying that when he gets hit, it doesn't look the same like how it did before. Because he fought at 45 before.
Right.
And he was bulldozing guys. Then he went up. I forgot what fight he went up for. Knocked out Gilbert Burns at 55.
That's
what I'm
crazy,
saying.
man.
When you look at...
he was one of the top 6 lightweights in the world in one of the hardest divisions.
Yes.
Like I think it's your division and lightweight are the hardest divisions.
I think now you can make an argument about 170 with Hamza and those guys in there, Gilbert. But I definitely agree. I think bantamweight and 155 is used for right now. Seems like the most stacked from 1 to like 20, maybe even 25. But
yeah, I mean, if you look, I actually did on one of my live streams. I did like a direct comparison, like number one guy to number one guy, and I think bantamweight won. Like throughout the list, it's more stacked.
Yeah.
But maybe lightweight's top 5 is more not stacked. That's kind of what we can.
Yeah.
But like,
I agree.
Yeah. But
I just fuck man, I feel bad for them. I like Dan a lot.
Yeah. Do you think?
I'm not talking shit. I just think it's just I don't know where he goes from here, man.
So after his last loss, before this one,
Makhachev.
Yeah, I was looking at like the Glover Teixeira story, where you have a low point in your career, like kind of what Dan's going through right now, but then you like take time, and you come back, and now Glover's the champ.
Mm-hmm.
He found his moment, I think, and he struck while the iron was hot. Is that possible for every guy, or is that just Glover Teixeira special? Like, is that a path guys can take to win the title, like in the long run?
It's definitely a path I think most guys can take, but you see, Glover is a specialist in BJJ, and I think that is the difference. What's Hooker's specialty? That step in knee that he catches guys with flush. Ross Pearson, Jim Miller, Gilbert Burns. To be able to dictate where the fight goes is where the wrestlers typically shine.
Well, but Jan Blachowicz had a similar path, I think.
Yeah, and then he run into
Glover? Yeah, but he still had that lull where it looked like it might be the end.
Yeah,
and then came back and became a champ. Now, granted, John Jones left, and then there was an opening there for those guys. But
it would be interesting to talk to Blachowicz to see what was the turning point for him. And it's easy to say the cliche thing. I just stayed the course. And, I just worked hard, and things. I just really trusted and kept believing. I said, no, I'm not going to give up, and it finally came through, and things happened. Like that's like the cliche thing to say, but really, like, what really changed? Like, did we just get a little lucky? Like, is it one of those things? Did you do anything specifically different? I don't know. Like, I couldn't really answer that question.
Because there are some guys like who have these hot flashes, or like this 4-fight streak where they just catch fire and then it's like it kind of ends as quick as it started. But
which is wild.
It is, dude. The UFC is so just crazy. Just fighting is crazy.
And that's why this sport is so like what have you done for me lately? Like Glover, granted he made this run and won the belt, super impressive. But how long does that style keep the belt? Getting hurt every single time and coming back in dramatic fashion outside of his fight with Blachowicz, getting him down right away and submitting him. outside of that, the guy's in a barn burner, Anthony Smith. I would have to pull up the list of the other names because I can't think of it. But I feel like every single fight he had was like him getting dropped or getting hurt, stunned. Kutelaba, I think Carl Roberson, and then coming back and winning with jiu-jitsu. But he's a specialist, kind of like
but
that.
now he's like
Maia.
43.
So it's like,
is that gonna work against Yuri?
I don't know.
I mean,
but if he gets him down,
That's the thing. That's what it always comes.
It's a different fight.
Cause like, I feel like from my observation, it's like when you're standing up, like both guys have like, there could be one guy who's way better at striking, but both guys have the puncher's chance.
Small glove.
I've never done any grappling in my entire life. If you take my back right now, there's literally nothing I can do. Even if I had a year of grappling under my belt, there's literally nothing I can do. Because you're just, but if we're both standing up, maybe you know what I'm saying? Like,
you could throw some caution into the wind.
Yeah. And like anybody can knock anybody out in theory, right? Like, that's why I always am like, the guy who has the better grappling.
For you definitely usually.
It makes me, I'm always like, because like, who are the most dominant guys in the UFC right now? The guys with the ground game. Yeah. Like, Khabib when he was retired, when he was in Islam, Usman, Colby,
Chimaev.
Yeah. And who are the guys everybody's like
Colby
super afraid of?
Even that new kid, Umar, Khabib's cousin, Nurmagomedov.
Oh, I've seen him.
He just fought Kalaev, who's from Long Island. That fight was a little weird because I felt like, I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking shit because I'm not. Just the way that it looked, I do think that there was a little bit of a defensive. I don't want to say like, not saying he gave the position up, but I do think there was a defensive error that he made with addressing the hands. And like whenever I trained with him, he's always done that with me, like making sure I don't get my hands around his neck. I felt like, I don't know if the pressure got to him and maybe he just had a short little brain lapse at that moment, because I've had that happen to me before. It was like something you know that you should do or you do all the time and you just kind of forget in the moment.
Could just be that Dagestani.
I mean, it was just him just grabbing the hand. Yeah. That's really it.
Okay. I actually don't remember I remember I watched Umar fight. I don't remember the details of that fight.
He defended like 3 takedowns, money, and then he did get the 1 takedown and then gave up the back and he just kind of just went right under the neck. I was like, dude, you know what to do there. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. But again, it's not talking shit. It's just, I know what he's capable of because I've trained with him. Yeah. You know, we kind of started together, you know, worked at Bomb Squad a lot, lived together and that type of thing. So
that's dope.
I was hoping for him to get the upset and he looked good until, you know, obviously until he didn't, but it's just one of those things. But also a dominant grappler in Umar. Askarov. It just goes to show, like, wrestlers, Marab, they dictate where the fight goes, and then it opens up the striking, and then it makes you look like you're a great striker because now you can fake and hit an overhand right like Khabib did to Conor and sit somebody down.
Adds that. Then if you add striking to the wrestling or the jiu-jitsu, it's like it gives you more openings in striking. Am I right? Like,
yeah. And that's why that Chimaev Burns fight for me is very, very interesting because dominant grappler. But if he gets Burns down and takes him down right to his back right away, it's a very interesting fight.
It's like it will, because Gilbert Burns is a beast. Everybody knows about Gilbert Burns. It's like if Khamzat's able to look how he looked against everyone else against Gilbert Burns, it's like that's looking a little scary for Kamaru. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think he will do very well, but I don't know if he's gonna run through him like a buzzsaw like he did everybody else. Like Gilbert's gonna know how to roll from that position. If he were to shoot in, get his hands clasped, take his back, Gilbert's gonna be able to fight the hands. I think the main concern for me is just whether or not he gets tired. But this other kid, Paddy Pimblett, I thought we'll just go through these quick. I thought Paddy looked good. Outside of the very first shot that he took, it just looks like the same thing. Just looks like he can't take a shot. Damn. And I think the moment someone realizes, like, if I hit him, just back away and let this guy up so he doesn't jump guard and grab me like he did against Vargas, he's going to have a tough time. I mean, these other guys, who gives him what he wants? Like this fight, I think Rodrigo did very, very good until he obviously, you know, gave up the submission, gave up his back. But he hits hard. I've trained with him. He hits hard. He's a strong guy. Paddy hit a beautiful throw. I think he's talked a little shit about me in the past, but
he did.
I kind of teased him a little bit about the bowl cut. But it's all in fun games.
What did he say to you?
I don't know. My fiance told me she saw some shit, and I was like, whatever.
That's crazy as fuck.
It was after the Yan fight kind of thing. So, I mean, it was almost like who didn't talk shit.
Open season.
Yeah. So
open fire on Aljo.
Yeah. So I just kind of give it back a little bit, but
fair enough.
I thought he looked great, man, and that's what he's known for, his grappling. I did like his post-fight interview. The only thing I didn't like about him was the shit that he was talking about Georgia and saying like Russia. That's why Russia did what they did to Georgia when they.
Marab responded.
Yeah, and Taporia did too. So it was just
it's kind of shitty.
That is just one of the shitty parts. It's like I liked his speech about like if I had Conor McGregor money, there would be no kid eating from a food bank again.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. But then the other side of it is like, yeah, he's a good guy, but then saying shit like that is like, is he a good guy? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, which one are you? Are you a villain or you're not a villain? Like, I don't know.
There's a fine line in the UFC with the guys who talk shit like that. I thought the same thing, though. If he gets hit, like, let's say he keeps climbing into the rankings and stuff, there's going to be a top 15 guy. When they hit you like that, if your chin's open like that, you're going to be sent out of the rankings pretty quick. Like, so he's got to figure that out. Like,
yeah, they're going to send him
he's got to not get hit.
Orbit.
Yeah.
Because that chin is up there for the taking. But he's smart where he knows if he gets hit, he knows how to pull guard, tie you up, look for his submission attacks, and stay safe when he's on the ground. And that's all good and all until he finds someone who's going to be, again,
Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje.
I don't know about Chandler. Chandler's not really a jiu-jitsu guy.
No. But if these guys hit him in the face,
oh yeah, that's
it's not the same.
It's a different fight.
Yeah. Like if you get hit that easily.
Gonna look great, very dominant. Molly McCann, nasty spinning elbow. That shit came out of nowhere. That was beautiful. I mean, there were so many good fights on this card. I mean, you got Makayev, Jack Shore, Paul Craig. Like, we can literally like talk about all these fights, but obviously we don't have all the time in the world.
Dana was like getting emotional about this card. How
he
good
gave
it was.
out 9 bonuses.
That's so crazy. That's
why is that not a thing
$450K
all the time? That should be a thing all the time.
If you can afford that on a fight night,
yes, it should be all the time.
then what are we doing here?
It almost feels like he favors the UK crowd because they haven't fought in so long that he's like almost like, I know you guys haven't fought in a while. Here's some extra money for you guys having a great night and getting some finishes.
Yeah.
And all the fights were exciting. But it's like, why isn't that the standard all the time? Like, I'll even take that.
That would be, yeah, that's like almost
Incentivizing. Like,
yeah,
okay,
like,
I'm going to come out here and scrap.
There's an extra 500, there's an extra $500,000 laying around for you guys. Like,
Not
for everybody, but like,
what you're saying, yeah.
It was like $450K.
Yeah, divvied up.
That's pretty.
$500K a pop.
Yeah, like that would be
a nice
get a
performance, and you could get a fight of the night, so you could walk away with 100
plus whatever you're getting.
Plus whatever you
get.
get. And that could be some life changing money, especially for a guy who's making his debut, like Muhammad Makayev, made $50K, and he got his show and win.
That's the best storyline when a new guy comes in and they get the bonus and they're like.
But then you almost feel like it's gonna happen every time. Look at Alexander the Great.
Yeah. What about him?
He came in, knocked out Beneil Dariush in like the first round. His next fight, he fought Cowboy Cerrone and went downhill quickly. He lost a Cowboy.
Oh, so you're saying like you break them off too early, they kind of lose that? I
don't know about that, but I'm just saying you just never know which way it can go. Like, it could be an incentive for people to want to work harder, or an incentive for them to think that they're gonna just bust all everyone, then they get clapped. Like even the Terrence McKinney fight, he just went balls to wall on freaking Drew Dober. It looked like he was gonna get him out of there, and then when he didn't, he's like, "Oh, this isn't like the last fight where I just buzzsaw this guy." Some guys are gonna actually be durable.
He did that like every fight.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he do it again?
He fought our guy Matt Frivola.
Yeah.
He knocked him out in 7 seconds. Unfortunate, and then he came back his next one and then dominated.
Yeah.
So you think he's probably thinking in my head like, man, I'm gonna keep running this thing up. You know, the gravy.
Oh
train.
Yeah, like you look like, oh, the guy who I just knocked out in 7 seconds beat the crap out of his guy in the first round. Like I'm that guy.
Yeah. So
but he kind of was like, in his past, Terrence McKinney, like in this past year, he's become like kind of a star. The way he's been run, like just the way he's finished fights.
Yeah, I agree. He was looking very promising. I think taking that fight on such short notice definitely hurt him a little bit. And I think it was a growing fight because I think he learned a lot. Mm-hmm. Take your time, man. This fight's not a sprint, you know. It's a marathon. especially if you can't get the guy out of there who has some type of toughness. And Drew Dober was able to weather the storm, you know?
Yeah, he's serious.
And that's the stuff I'm talking about. Like, it's one thing, like it's almost like a cliche Rocky movie. Like, it's not how hard you can get hit. It's not how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep on moving forward. That type of thing. And that was one of those circumstances because not all the time you're going to be the hammer. And you see like a Hooker when he's not the hammer, he's the nail. Like, how are you able to respond?
Yeah.
How are you able to deal with that adversity? Marlon Moraes. Like, even for myself, I got hit with some shots. But it showed myself that I have a chin. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't need to know that I have a chin. I'd rather keep that in my back pocket for a rainy day like I did for that fight to stay in the fight. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen too often because I don't want to be known as that guy who can take killer shots. I mean, I'm glad to know I could do that.
Right.
But I could only do that for so long, you know, before it's going to be like I get hit and then my eyes are going to start rolling in the back of my head. And then I got to have the conversation with myself and my team. Like, maybe it's time to start looking for some, like, exit strategies because these fights are starting to take more of a toll on me than I wanted to. And
that's like when it gets a little scary.
That's when it gets very scary.
That's why I worry about Hooker. Like, I want to see the guy healthy.
He's got kids, man. He's got a wife and kids, and like, I don't want to see nobody banged up and slurred speech or anything like that. I'm not saying he's any of that right now, but
no,
I mean,
how
people
many of
were
those
scared
do
for
you
Max
have?
Holloway. I remember that one fight. He was cutting weight, and you couldn't really understand what the hell he was saying. I mean, he talks pidgin, so it's a little hard to understand him in general. But that time when he was on TV, it sounded really, really
it was
really
scary.
If people don't remember that, go look up that interview.
Yeah.
And it's not talking shit. It's just having a discussion and observation.
This is getting punched in the head.
Yeah, and he took some time off from like hard sparring. And I think he made a great recovery, and I feel like he talks way better now. I think it was just all the damage.
They were saying the weight cut too, like
the weight cut too. All that stuff affects you, man.
Dehydration.
None of this stuff is healthy, bro. None of this stuff is healthy.
Only the bike.
That's it.
You were on the bike earlier.
The last thing I wanted to say was it was cool to see this kid Makaev coming in and getting to shine the way that he did, beating a guy like Cody Durden. I thought Cody was going to give more of a fight. And I don't know if you saw his post. He broke his hand 6 weeks before the fight. And it typically takes 6 weeks for the bones to like really, really heal. But for him to still go through and make his debut, I wonder if he told the UFC like at all, just got it fixed and then just still train and made his debut in one spectacular fashion. Jumping, switch knee, clipped him, took him down, jumped on his back, his neck, and strangled him.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the one I missed. Yeah.
But that highlight was pretty much the entire fight.
Okay.
Jump knee.
Damn.
It was like a
Makaev did that?
20-second sequence in the first round.
So the hand didn't even really affect it.
Nothing. He didn't even use it. 56 seconds in the first round.
Molly McCann spinning elbow
was freaking vicious.
Talk about rolling. You could see on screen her eyes rolled back into her head.
Oh, it was bad because she didn't see it coming.
Oh,
and those are the
dude.
shots that hurt the most, or not even say that hurt the most, the ones that put you out because if you don't see it, there's no anticipation, there's no tightening up, flexing, locking down your jaw. You're completely relaxed, and so when that gets hit in the chin, it hits that nerve that's connected to the brain, shuts the lights off, man. And people have to understand like this is what fighting is at a super high level. And you could see when she was setting up, like, I don't think she was like, oh, I'm going to knock this bitch out. But
dude, the setup looks so like.
Just one, boom.
Dude.
Vicious.
Filthy, bro.
Right
that could be, my friend was saying, like, that might be one of the, regardless of gender, because Dana said it's no female's ever going to get a knockout like that or something.
Probably no time soon.
But, like, that might be what man is gonna get a knockout like that? Like that's crazy.
A beautiful setup, beautiful finish, and yeah, it was just nasty.
And that fight was just fun the whole time. Like they were doing the whole song and dance. It was super fun. Yeah.
She brought it, and that kid Makwan and Mirkani getting a win in a big way. I felt bad for Grundy because Grundy, both these guys I think were fighting for their contracts. He was on a 3-fight skid, lost to Evloev, Vanada, and now Makwani. And Makwani, I think he was on a kind of a skid himself. Yeah, he is so slick when he gets his hands around your neck for that anaconda choke. I think he's got like 3 in the UFC.
He got one again, or he beat Arnold Allen.
He got Tom Duquesnoy with the anaconda choke. That was before the UFC. That was at Cage 21. flying into punches over Andy Ogle. Marcio Fullen, he got a rear naked choke. Marcio used to be in the UFC. Arnold Allen split decision loss. Jason Knight split decision win. Fishgold anaconda choke. Lost to Burgos. So he lost 3 in a row. Barbosa, Kirk, Murphy, and then he just beat Grundy. And before that, he had a win, and then he also lost to Burgos. So he wasn't on a great streak. And for him to get a win like that, much needed. And I felt bad for Grundy because his parents were there.
Oh.
Like, and they showed the close-up. And I'm like, this is either going to go really good for them. And to happen like that in the first round, I was like, oof, that sucks, man.
What's it like when family's, like, at the fight? Does that change it at all for you?
I don't really think about it, to be honest.
Doesn't.
And it's not like my family doesn't always come out, so it is what it is. Oh, Topuria, man. We didn't even talk. Fuck, man. That's fight was crazy.
That's one of the ones I fucking missed.
Oh, that was an insane
I heard it was crazy.
Fight over Herbert. And
tell me about it.
He got hurt twice.
Who did?
Topuria.
Oh, God.
And it looked like he was getting out of there. And I was so nervous. I was like, dude, I don't know what's about to happen because he was kind of on wobbly legs a little bit, rightfully so. Like, he got hit with some shots. And, you know, it almost not exactly like Marab and Moraes, but it was similar. Was able to kind of circle around the cage, tie him up for a bit, slow the fight down, and then we got the opportunity to freaking uncork, man, unleash just a vicious bombs on him.
Oh,
came with the feint jab, kind of like a throwaway jab, the right hand, the liver shot, and he got hit after he hit the liver shot, and he came back with another crushing right hand that just sat him down. The liver shot hit him flush. So I could only imagine he was probably sparked from that.
Yeah.
And then the shot over the top.
That just looks so painful when you get punched in the liver like that.
Vicious, man.
Like Canelo does that shit so
it shuts you down
flawlessly. Man. Guys just... Could you imagine if a guy just went down like that in the middle of a UFC fight from a liver shot? They can't, though.
You can.
I mean, you're going to get
teed up a little bit more, but you just shut down like that, your body just collapses and just says, like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm gonna relax right here. That's really what your body tells you. Is like, yeah, I'm gonna sit this one out. All right? Give me a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And after that, you're like, when you come back, you're just like, I can't believe I went down like that. Because it's you voluntarily.
I've never gotten kicked there, like,
you know,
yeah.
Like a knockout is like, all right, the lights shut off. Like, you can't really stop that. But you get hit to the body, you get smoked. You're just like, you consciously made that decision. Like, yeah, I'm gonna chill. 1 second.
So, okay, this brings up an interesting question. Like,
things flashing. Is that good?
Oh yeah, it's fine. It might die in a sec. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. What was the question?
Just. Oh yeah. So like I don't know if you've ever been choked to unconsciousness.
Yes. In high school.
Okay. I wanted, like, when you go to sleep from that, and you wake up after, do you know what happened? Is it the same as a knockout where you're like kind of confused, or?
No, I woke up confused. I was in class. It was like a little game you play, like breathe as hard as you can, big deep breaths, and then cover your carotids. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I just passed out.
Yeah, because I wanted to do a TikTok where
I was like, yo.
I want to do a TikTok where like someone chokes me unconscious and I just like document it, but not you. That could be a liability. Yeah. But like Manimal or something. But I just want to see what that's like. Is it like?
It's a little eerie. There's been times I go like glassy eyed right before I'm about to tap, and then I finally at the very last second I tap and I'm like almost out. And I'm like, but I'm still there. I'm just like just out of it. Like, oh my god, like I can't believe I almost just went to sleep like that. But
that'd be crazy.
It's trippy.
Cool.
But, yeah.
I think we're good.
As always, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna wrap this up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, that like button. We'll see you guys later. Thank our guest, Jake Fine, for joining us today. And I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. We'll be back with some more heat. So we got a couple more fights coming up.
Facts. Should I plug my shit real quick?
Yeah.
Jake Fine Martial Arts on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So I do the podcast on YouTube and snippets and shit all over the place. And then now we got documentaries coming. So check me out on the come up in the UFC content space.
All right, guys.
All right,
cool. You guys be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Peace.